Hey, first grade, welcome back. It's Miss Stanwart, and today in CKLA, we are going to read Approaching the Great Pyramid. Our learning objectives are to review features of the ancient Egyptian civilization, explain the significance of the pyramids, demonstrate an understanding of the word treasure and the multiple meanings of the word steps, and explain one similarity or one difference between pyramids and ziggurats. Our key vocabulary are afterlife, architect, pharaoh, pyramid, and treasure. Afterlife is a noun. Afterlife is the next life believed to begin after death. Many people and cultures believe in an afterlife. Architect. Architect is a noun, and an architect is someone who decides how a building should look and draws the plans for the builders to follow. My mother is an architect who designed the shopping mall. Pharaoh. Pharaoh is also a noun, and a pharaoh is an Egyptian ruler, kind of like a king. Most of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt were male. Pyramid. Pyramid is a noun, and a pyramid is a structure with 4 triangular sides and a square base or bottom. The family saw the Great Pyramid while on vacation in Egypt. Treasure. Treasure is a noun, and treasure is something that is valuable, special, or important. The pirates found treasure on the ship. So where is Egypt? Let's start with where is the continent of Africa, okay? So remember, Africa is a continent. So where is Africa? Africa is right here, the yellow and orange, okay? And where is Egypt? Remember, Egypt is a country in in the northeast corner of Africa, okay? Egypt is right here. All right, let's do a little bit of review. So what have we learned about the Nile River so far? And why is it so important to the ancient Egyptians? So we know that the Nile River is the longest river in the world, okay? And we learned that it's really strong, right? And so sometimes it floods sometimes, right? But why is the flooding good? What does the flooding do for those Egyptians? The flooding makes the land around the river fertile, right? Because when that water is rushing down from the mountains, it's grabbing onto that mud, and the mud is full of minerals and nutrients. So when that muddy water goes over the land land absorbs or takes in all of those nutrients and minerals, which helps the crops to grow. Okay. We also know that the Nile could be used for transportation, so getting places, and then also for fishing, right? What have we learned about the religion in ancient Egypt? Did they believe in one god or many gods and goddesses? Many. What was the name for that again? Polytheistic. Okay. And how were most of the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt depicted? Meaning, what did they look like? Some of them looked like animals. Some of them looked like people, right? And some of them even looked kind of like a mixture of people and animals. So there were a few that had human bodies and then like the head of an animal. So the one that had the human body and then the head of the crocodile. And then there was also one that had a human body and the head of a falcon, which is kind of bird. What did the ancient Egyptians believe that those gods and goddesses did? What did they think they did? They believed that they controlled things like the weather, the sun, the crops, right? And how was that similar or different from the gods and goddesses in Mesopotamia? Well, it was similar because the people of Mesopotamia believed that the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia did the same thing. So control the sun and the weather and the crops and all that, right? But it was different because what did the gods and goddesses of ancient Mesopotamia look like? They just kind of looked like people, right? Who remembers what ziggurats in Mesopotamia were? What were the ziggurats? They were the temples or the places where people would go to praise and worship the gods and goddesses, right? So today we're going to be learning about a building in ancient Egypt that was similar to the ziggurats of Mesopotamia. Remember, our key vocabulary were afterlife, architect, pharaoh, pyramid, and treasure. All right, so today's read aloud is going to be about another father and daughter's trip on the Nile. And I want you to listen carefully for our vocabulary, but also to find out why the pyramids were significant or important in ancient Egypt. Long ago, there was an Egyptian priest named Setna. He was in charge of one part of a giant temple to the gods in his city. Setna had a daughter named Oweru, whom he loved very much. What was the father's name? Setna. And what was the daughter's name? Oweru. When Oweru was old enough, her father took her on a boat trip down the Nile to a place called Giza so she could see the Great Pyramid there. Remember, a pyramid is a structure with 4 triangular sides and a square base or bottom. They journeyed, or traveled, for many days as passengers on a large sailing ship. During the voyage, Setna explained to his daughter what the Great Pyramid was and why it had been built. He said, "We Egyptians say that far to the west lies a place called the Beautiful West. When someone dies, he or she has the chance to travel there. If they arrive safely, their spirit will be happy forever, for the good god Osiris is the king there and takes good care of everyone. But the journey to this peaceful place is dangerous and hard to make, and not everyone who tries to get there reaches it. So we pray to Osiris and to his wife, Isis, and to their son, the falcon-headed god Horus. If they wish to do so, these 3 can help us reach the beautiful West with their powers, so we must make sure that they like us." So remember that the ancient Egyptians had a polytheistic religion. What does that mean, polytheistic? They believed in many gods and goddesses, okay? The god Osiris will even let us bring any treasure we have with us when we go there. Pretty artwork, fine clothes, jewelry, or whatever we most enjoy in this life so that we may have an enjoyable afterlife. Remember, the afterlife is the next life believed to begin after death. Well, many years ago, there was a pharaoh, or Egyptian ruler, named Djoser. One night, Djoser dreamed that one of the gods told him to build a special place for Djoser's family and servants to put his body and treasures after he had died. Now, Djoser had a friend working for him who thought he was Djoser had a friend working for him who he thought was the smartest man alive in those days. His friend's name was Imhotep. Imhotep was the greatest architect in Egypt. At this point, Setna's daughter, Oweru, interrupted. "Father, what is an architect?" An architect is someone who decides how a building should look and draws the plan the builders follow. Today in Egypt, our builders usually follow the same plans that Egyptian architects have used for thousands of years. But Imhotep was the one who first created many of those plans. He must have been the best architect ever. All right. So why might Oweru have said that Imhotep must have been the best architect ever? Why do you think? Maybe because her father said Egyptian builders usually follow the same plans as that same. Maybe it was because her father said Egyptian builders usually follow the same plans Egyptian architects have used for years, and Imhotep was the first one, or the one who created the first of many of those plans. Okay. Pharaoh Djoser certainly thought so. He called Imhotep to the palace and told him about the dream. The pharaoh said, Imhotep, build me a building that reaches up towards the sky in honor of the gods. Make the middle of it an open space for me and for my treasures. For after I die, make it special. So Imhotep built the first pyramid. The bottom of it is an enormous stone square, and then the four sides reach upward, leaning in toward one another until they meet at the top. The sides of that first pyramid are built as steps, making it easier to climb up the outside. So when we're talking about steps here, we're talking about like going upstairs, okay? Not like follow these steps, like directions, okay? Much later came another pharaoh named Khufu. Okay? Pharaoh Khufu wanted people to know what an important pharaoh he was. So he commanded his people to build him the biggest pyramid of all, the Great Pyramid. Setna and his daughter Oweru continued sailing for many days on their way to seeing the Great Pyramid at Giza, and were nearing the end of their long journey along the Nile when suddenly Setna pointed up ahead and said, Look, my dear Oweru, what do you see? Oweru's eyes opened wide with excitement. Is that the top of the Great Pyramid, Father? Are we getting close? It is the top, but we are still a long way from it. We will not be there until tomorrow. It will start getting dark soon, so we'll be stopping shortly, but it is so tall that we can begin to see it even from this distance. The top of the pyramid shone brightly. It's like the sun, Father, Oweru exclaimed. That is because the top of it is covered in gold, so that that is because the top of it is covered in gold that the pharaoh ordered to be smooth. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys, I am having a hard time reading this today. That is because the top is covered in gold that the pharaoh ordered to be brought from his mines in the desert, and the sides are covered in smooth white stone. The pyramid shines in the sun. The whole top is gold? Yes, you see, Pharaoh Khufu wanted to show how powerful he was. He said, I am the greatest ruler on earth, and the god of the sun, Amon-Ra, is the greatest of the gods, the one who created the world. My pyramid will shine in the sunlight to honor Amon-Ra and to remind everyone that just as he created the world, I created this pyramid, and I am also great. I will be famous forever. Setna looked again at the shining peak. And all these years later, Oweru, we are indeed standing here talking about Pharaoh Khufu. But now it is time for our boat to dock for the night. We will go into that town over there, get some dinner, and then go to sleep. Because I am the priest at the temple of Karnak, we are invited to stay at the temple in this place. Come on then. You will get to see the Great Pyramid up close tomorrow. It's the most amazing building ever made. And they stepped off their boat onto the wooden dock at the shore. All right, so that's the end of our story. If you need to get a wiggle break, go ahead. All right, comprehension questions. Let's go. Where were Setna and Oweru traveling on the Nile? Where were they going? To Giza to see the Great Pyramid, right? What was the Great Pyramid made of? Gold and white stones, right? Why was the Great Pyramid built? It was built as a burial place for Pharaoh Khufu. What else was placed in the pyramids besides the person's body? So what else got buried with the people? Their treasure, right? And why was their treasure placed in the pyramids? Because the Egyptians believed the person would use these things in the next life or an afterlife. Okay? How would you describe a pyramid to a friend? Square base and 4 triangular sides, right? So why did Khufu want such a large pyramid to be built? To be his burial place, right? To show his power and to hold lots of treasure, and so that he would be remembered, right? Okay, time for our word work. In the read aloud you heard, the god Osiris will even let us bring any treasure we have with us when we go there. Say the word treasure with me. Treasure. Whisper it. Treasure. Mouse voice it. Treasure. All right. Treasure is something that is valuable, special, or important. Columbus traveled the ocean hoping to find treasure. I'm going to say a list of items. If you would consider them treasure, say that is treasure to me. If you would not consider it treasure, say that is not treasure to me. Remember that just because I might think something would be a treasure to me doesn't mean that you have to think it would be a treasure to you, okay? We might have different ideas as to what would be treasure to us. So a treasure, remember, is just something that is valuable, special, or important to you, okay? A picture of a family member. That would be a treasure to me because I would think that it would be special. A rare coin. That would be a treasure to me too. If it's rare, that means there aren't many like it, right? So that would make it special. A project you did last year. I don't know that that would be a treasure to me. It depends if it was like a special project. Okay. A souvenir from a place you visited during vacation. I think that would be a treasure to me. How about your bike? I think that would be a treasure to me too. And how about a book about animals? I think that if it was a book that was given to me by a special, like a good friend of mine or somebody in my family, then maybe it would be a treasure to me. Okay. But like I said, just because it might be a treasure to me doesn't mean it would be a treasure to you. Okay. All right. So let's talk about steps really quick. The word steps. Okay. So in the read aloud, you heard the sides of the first pyramid are built as steps, making it easier to climb up the outside. I want you to hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers to show which picture on this poster shows the meaning that I am talking about. 1, 2, or 3. You should be holding a 1. Okay, because those are like stairs, okay? Those are steps like stairs. Steps can also mean the directions for how to do something. I want you to hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers to show which picture on this poster shows that meaning. Which one shows me steps and like directions to do things? 1, 2, or 3? 3, okay? Steps can also mean moving in a specific direction by lifting your foot and putting it down in another place. I want you to hold up 1, 2, or 3 fingers to show which picture on this poster shows that meaning. 1, 2, or 3? 2. Good job, guys. So these right here I want you to tell somebody, what do you think about when we're talking about those kind of stairs? Do you think about your house? Do you think about school, like upstairs is second grade? What do you think about? Okay. What have we learned about pyramids in ancient Egypt, guys? It's where people were buried, right? And they got buried with their treasures. Okay. What do you see in this picture? A ziggurat. And where were these? In Mesopotamia. So how do you think that ziggurats and pyramids are the same? And how do you think that they're different? So their shape is kind of the same. They're both tall and large, okay? And they're different because pyramids were built in Egypt and were burial places for pharaohs and had triangular sides and square bases, while ziggurats were built in Mesopotamia, had temples on top for the gods, and had wide steps that got smaller as you got closer to the top, okay? So the pyramids did have some steps, but it wasn't very common for them to have steps, okay? All right, let's check and make sure we went over our learning objectives. We reviewed features of the ancient Egyptian civilization. We explained the significance of pyramids. We were able to demonstrate an understanding of the word treasure and the multiple meanings of the word steps. And we were able to explain a similarity and a difference between pyramids and ziggurats. All right, guys, see you next time.